And we're back in my garage. So today we're going to be working on Sally. I went on a ride the other day and I was like, man, it sure is hard to climb on this trail that I've climbed before. That's not really too difficult. But then I noticed this. So watch my seat. So yeah. So check this out. That's where it's supposed to be. So it appears that something's up with my dropper post. As it's not going back up all the way and it's going extremely slow. So we're going to go ahead and take her apart and service her and go from there. So here we go. Alright, so first things first is we have to take the dropper post off the bike, but in order to do so we're going to need some slack of the cable, and we might have to actually pull it all the way to the frame. So we're going to have to free this up. Now, we could take the cable off, but it's got a little end on it, so it's not going to fit through there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the entire lever off. So I'm using a 4mm hex here. And this is on that, I forget the name of it, but it's the Shimano iSpec, I think it's called. So you can attach everything to one ring. So we're just going to remove this bolt here, and careful because there's a washer on the other side. All right, and there we go. So that is off, and now we can move it around to get extra, slack when we're pulling out the dropper post. And then I'm going to put the screw back on just because I don't want to lose it. Okay, so now we need to loosen this collar here. This is also a 4mm. Now we're going to try to pull our dropper post out. But again, it's never been out, and I can feel that there's dust in there. So it's probably going to be pretty hard to get this off. So we're going to go ahead and just yank on it. All right, so as you can see here, I got the dropper post out of there. And see, I had to push this all the way in to get enough slack so it can stick out. So then here we go. We have our dropper post right here. It's got some stuff in here. I think that's... yeah, it's pretty dirty. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get this clean. So let's get, we're going to have to take this all apart. So let's get to it. We got our dropper post all taken out. So now we got to take it apart so we can clean it. So first things first is we're going to want to get this seat off. It's actually going to be a 5. And make sure you make note of where you had your seat before, because you're going to have to reset it. There we go. Cool. All right, now this part comes out of here, and it's a good idea to take your seat off when you do this, just to make sure there's no like debris that could fall in. Like in my case, I actually have a rock. There's a freaking rock in my seat. Okay, well, yeah, see, so there will be some debris in there. Make sure you keep all your screws together and your bolts, because there is like a little thingy in there that you don't want to lose. And then I usually will put the screw back on just to keep everything from getting lost. And then I will just put this back together so I don't lose anything, and so I remember where it goes. So this guy right here, I can actually add and remove air. So when you're working on these things as a safety precaution, just like you are with like a fork or anything, it's probably a good idea to remove the air. For these guys, we're going to be using a shock pump. I'm going to actually use my shock pump to remove the air instead of just trying to stick something in there, just because it's a little bit easier to do it this way. And I can see how much air is already in there. That way I can pump it back up to the same point. Okay, we just gotta make sure we get it screwed in all the way so it pushes down the schrader. Alright, so anyway, we want to go ahead and... looks like this is part of the cap. Set that aside. So now that we have access to our schrader, we're going to go ahead and screw in our shock pump, see how much air we got in there. It's possible that I might not have enough air for it to actuate properly. So I believe the maximum is 300 psi, and you want 280. So I'm at about 250, a little under 250. So I'm going to let out the air. Yeah, so I had 250 psi of air, so that is a little weak. I'd say I think the minimum is supposed to be 280, but I'm not 100% sure. All right, now you can see I'm actually actuating it here, down here, and you can see it's not moving anymore, and that's because there's just no air in there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I want this to be all the way up. So now we need to go ahead and take this apart. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a adjustable wrench here, and we're going to grab it right here, and we're going to go ahead and spin it to unscrew this bottom part here. Wrench is on this because it'll hurt. You should be able to just do it with your hand like that. You don't scratch anything. Once it's broken free, you're going to go ahead and unscrew it. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and pull that out carefully. Okay, cool. So, sweet. So now we got that taken apart. We're going to want to get this off because we want to get to the thing. So we're going to unscrew the collar here. And this you should be able to just do by hand. Now make note of your adjustment. And then also there's these little tiny pins in here, so don't lose those. You can see that 2 of them already dropped out. There's these little things here, so I can see that I'm on this top setting. And I believe there's 4 of these pins, so we're going to go ahead and take those out so we don't lose them. Okay, so it looks like there's 3 of the little pins, and then there's these, I can't tell if these come out or not. Then there's these 3 larger pins. So yeah, it's not looking too dirty, because I mean there's definitely a lot of dirt on the wiper seals. All right, so what we want to do now is we want to go ahead and take this off. So we just slide that out carefully, try not to break it. There's also this little guy right here. Okay, and that's at the end. Now we can pull this off, and this is our wiper seal. So I can see there's a bunch of dirt. It doesn't look like it migrated inside, so that's a good sign. So we'll go ahead and pop that off. Need to get the little spring off of it. So careful not to damage the spring. This should just pop right out, just like that, because you can get replacement seals. All right, so now we got it all taken apart. We're going to go ahead and clean everything. All right, so you probably want to use a shop towel or something that doesn't have lint on it. We're going to use the isopropylene alcohol, or isopropyl, I don't know how to pronounce it. You should probably put it in a spray bottle. I don't have one, so I'm doing it this way. Whoop. Oh, there we go. And we're going to go ahead and just clean everything. Get all this nasty grease, and keep in mind you are going to need some grease because we are going to have to, you know, re-lube everything. So yeah, and then we're going to probably want to lube that too. So if you have some kind of dowel, something you can shove this in there with, is probably a good idea. There's these 2 little bolts right here. I don't know if you could see those. In fact, I think I will take it apart. I forget what size it is. I think it's a 4. No, it's probably like a 2 or something. Let's see. And this is basically, these are just set screws to kind of hold the stuff together. Yeah, it's looking like we got to take it all the way out. Oh yeah, that's a pretty long little bolt there. Cool. And this should just pop right off like that. And this is the actuator thing. So there's this pin here, and this is what pushes down. So there's a rounded end on it, so that's always going to stick out. On this side, it's a flat end. That's going to go on the inside. All right. And then you can take these 2 little bumpers off. So this is actually the sealed air cartridge. As you can see, you can't really take this apart. You probably could, but I'm not even going to mess with that. Oh, and keep in mind there is an O-ring right here. Don't lose that. I just knocked it off right now. So yeah, and then there's a bunch of grease in there. So we're going to go ahead and put a little bit more alcohol on here. And then we're going to push it on through that to try to get all the junk off of it. Shove that right in there. I have a really long screwdriver that I'm going to use to push it. Try not to, if you're doing this sketchy like I am, try not to let the screwdriver touch any of the sides. Like I just did. And there we go. And the important thing is we want to get these seals nice and clean, because this thing is just completely full of dirt. Oh yeah, there's tons of dirt. I don't know. You see all that black stuff? That's just from the seal. Yeah, so this dropper post is not very old. And this is the first time it's been opened up. I bought this last year. I rode quite a bit though. So I'd say you probably want to do this at least once a year, maybe twice a year. I mean, mine's already pretty bad, and its performance has been affected. I actually starting to think more so it's the pressure. Anyway, the air in there is from the factory, so I never adjusted it, so we'll probably definitely be checking it. So that's clean. Get the little seal spring thing cleaned up too. Okay, cool. So we got everything cleaned up. So now we got to go ahead and put it all back together. So apparently this, you don't want to take this off. Or it's not necessary, but anyway, you're going to give it a good pop. That way that pops back in there, and then this is what holds it on. So apparently mine was loose, so it's not supposed to be loose like that. So that could have also been attributed to the issue that I was having. So we're going to go ahead and try to get this back on there and try to get it screwed in. So I'm going to use this small little flathead here now that I got it started. And I'm going to go ahead and just spin it to try to get it back in there. I'm sure there's a special tool for this, but I don't have it, so we're just going to do the best we can. But yeah, that's why I wasn't able to put my Schrader or my pump on it, because it was too high up. So this is supposed to be screwed down. This is what holds this whole thing into place. Why that was loose, I don't know. There we go. All right, cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put a little bit of grease on these channels to kind of hold our pins in place. But before we do that, we want to throw this collar back on. I've already put the seal back on and the little spring. And then we're going to want to stick our bumpers on. And we're going to put the pin back in, and remember, we want the round side sticking out. Okay, so we're going to put a little bit of lube just on here. Oops, a little too much. I just want a little bit just to get it to stick in there. We don't want to put too much grease on this, otherwise we're going to have dirt and crap sticking to it. So if you put too much, when you extend it, a little bit of the grease might come out. Yeah, see, so they stick in place now. You know, we probably want to put the adjustment bushing in place first before you do this. But I like to do things the hard way, apparently. So I'm going to put these in then first. But it'll probably be easier if you put that on first, now that I think about it. And we want it this way, I believe. I'll go ahead and spread it up so we don't pop out all my pins, which I'm totally popping them all out. Just like that. Alright, cool. Okay. I believe it was on the top. Put this little guy here at the end. Oops, we lost one. Make sure they're all in there. Yep. Alright, we're going to go ahead and pop this back on there like that. Okay. Yeah, don't forget to put the outer one back on. Go ahead and put this back on. And don't put grease on these threads because it's got Loctite on there. Any of these, even these screws have Loctite on them, so you don't want grease. So you don't want these slipping. Now we're going to go ahead and we'll slide this up into place, and we'll go ahead and screw that back in like so. We'll take our wrench again, give it a nice good tight. Perfect. Alright, so now we just need to put air in it, and we should be good. I'm going to put about 300 psi because I just noticed that my gauge on my shock pump is a little bit off, so that'll probably give me about 280-ish, like right under 300. Alright, so we just need to try to get this off real quick. Alright, so now we got her pumped up with air. Let's give her a test. Oh yeah. So she is definitely fully extended. So anyway, that's how you service your PNW Loam dropper post. And this is the one where you can do the air. And then you already know how to put the seat back on, so we'll leave that part out. But hopefully this helps you out if you're trying to do this yourself. In my case, it was getting stuck, probably because it was a little dirty. And from what I could see, there was some other stuff that was loose that shouldn't have been. But yeah, it's back up to, it's actually moving a lot faster than it was, so that's kind of cool too. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, comment, and tell me what a horrible bike mechanic I am. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.